Okay, we're live now. All right, well, welcome. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. This is Thom Cantrall. Um, I understand you've been on doing this for a while.
I got interested in this in October 6th, 1958 is when the date it started. And the reason can remember that so well is because that was a newspaper article that caused it. There was a cat skinner in Northern California
Mhm.
that was building road, came to work one morning, and here were a set of tracks that came down off the mountain, up the newly cut road, around his cat, on up the road, and and then made its way on, and then dropped down into the canyon. And this created hubbub, and eventually the Eureka, California newspaper picked it up, Eureka Humboldt Times, and Andrew Genzoli wrote a story on it that was picked up by the wire services. And I lived about 300 miles from there. It's an area I knew. It's an area where we had hunted. Had friends that lived in that area, so it caught my interest just for that reason. And then I got to, investigating it. Dr. Ivan Sanderson came and did an investigation. And Dr. Ivan Sanderson is one of the foremost paleontologists in the world at the time. The man has authored, he has 5 different doctorates. Okay. He's authored 13 different books on mammalian species and primates, and just a very interesting person overall.
Right.
But Andrew Genzoli, the newspaperman's article, is the first time that the word Bigfoot appeared in print. That's the source of the name Bigfoot. And the cat skinner's name was Jerry Crew. And Jerry's family still lives in that area. His sons, I met them a couple of years ago when I was down there. We were down there for the 50th anniversary of Bob and Roger's film.
How long you been doing this for?
And 62 years then in August.
Wow.
In October.
That's a long time. Here's Kevin.
But it's worth it.
Yeah.
Good evening,
Hi, Kevin.
Gentlemen. Man. Yeah, computer just had to do all these updates at the last possible minute.
They always pick the worst possible time to do that.
Right? It's like, come on now, man. You're supposed to be smart. That's not very smart.
I keep telling mine, if you're so bloody smart, how come you don't know when I'm screwing up?
Right. Well, Thom,
actually, I started with high-speed digital computers in 1963 with the Polaris missile weapon system. And of course, high speed at that time was 4 megahertz.
Yeah,
of course, they weren't even. No, your watch runs faster than that now.
Right.
But of course, they weren't hertz then either. They were still cycles then. So
right.
yeah.
So
in case you
I
think
don't know what
myself.
I don't know what I missed.
Oh, he's talking about the Bluff Creek right now. About
okay.
So he's right.
Well, we have a question.
Jerry Crew.
We have a question that we ask all of our guests. I don't know if Lewis asked this, but what got you into the topic of Bigfoot? Some people say it's a movie. Some people say it's an experience. Some people say it's curiosity. Some people have said it's a video they saw. So what got you into this topic?
That's just what we were talking about.
Oh, okay.
And the short answer is the Jerry Crew incident in 1958.
All right.
We were just discussing how that occurred, but
That would
So
be
that incident happened August 25th, 1958, and there was a lot of controversy with the crew over it. Matter of fact, they couldn't keep crew because of it. And then eventually, one of the crew's wives wrote to Andrew Zenzoli, who was editor of the Humboldt Times newspaper, and asked, "Are there really wolves in the mountains in Humboldt County and Del Norte County?" And he came back and answered her, but then got a hold of Jerry Crew. Jerry Crew stopped in and at the office and showed him the casts they had made of the footprints. And he then wrote the article that appeared in the Humboldt Times and was picked up by the wire services, which is my local newspaper, picked up and got me interested. Now, one thing that has to be noted here, there was a fellow by the name of Ray Wallace who ran that crew. That was his company that was building those roads. Jerry Crew worked for Ray Wallace. Well, Ray Wallace made a big deal out of the fact that all of those tracks he faked. When he died, they found the footprints that he used. And if you've ever seen Ray Wallace's fake feet, they're, the toes are little square things. And, they all look the same. That's one, and that's two. But number three, and most important, on the 25th of August, when the incident happened, Ray Wallace was in Costa Rica.
Interesting.
So unless he knew a shortcut, okay.
That's right.
It
He was
was
on
not
vacation.
Ray Wallace who made those tracks.
Unless he
Yeah.
had some Star Trek teleporting device that
Yeah.
wasn't invented then.
Yeah. But he was in Costa Rica helping them getting their logging started on their timberlands. Okay. He returned to California on the 4th of October. And that newspaper article hit the paper on the 6th of October. He got back, and his brother had been running the crew. And the only people they could keep on the crew were the Indians. They had quite a few fellows from the Hupa Reservation and the Yurok Reservation that are local there that worked with them. And they were working out of camp. Basically, what that means is they stayed in camp all week and went home on Friday night, came back Monday morning. And that's what had happened. They'd come back to work on Monday morning, and that's when they found all of these tracks. So he couldn't keep a crew. Okay. Of course, he's under contract to build these roads. And he's got to have a crew on the ground to build roads. So that's why he came up with the idea of I faked the tracks, and it's all just it's a big joke, ha ha ha. Go back to work quick. That all worked pretty well till about a week and a half after he was back. Right at the top of Bunyan Mountain, there's a back in those days, in those times left over from earlier times, on every grade there would be a water trough, the spring bed into it, because the cars of those days were notorious for overheating. Okay, and there wasn't anything like fancy like ethylene glycol for antifreeze or anything like that. You just put more water in. That's how it worked. So every grade, at the top of the grade, you had a spring to refill your water. Also, all the trucks had water-cooled brakes. So before you started down a grade, you topped off your water tanks. If you didn't, you had an 80% chance of not having any brakes about 2/3 of the way down, which was not a fun position to be in at all. Okay. In those days, those logging trucks that went from the landing, from the logging job to the highway, didn't have doors on them. Okay, so that the driver could bail out when the brakes went out. And so he at the the spring at the top of Onion Mountain, the grade at Onion Mountain, and it's still there. There's a trough, and he pulled around the curve there, and there at the trough drinking was a 7.5 to 8 foot tall Sasquatch. He didn't like to admit that, but he did a time or two. But he brought in then a fellow by the name of Bob Brazil and his wife, and their job was to track Sasquatch. They brought in four they were said to be the best hounds in the country, that they would trail anything. Well, he put them on the trail. They went ki-yi and went into the brush and were never seen or heard from again.
That's
Nobody
crazy.
has any idea where they went.
That's crazy.
Okay.
Scary.
Now that's what got me started in interest in Sasquatch. And now, 62 years later, that fire still burns as brightly.
Didn't they find equipment on top of the hill that nobody can move? Didn't they? The Bigfoot take equipment up there?
Well, that's one of the things they did. They excavator tire scrapers, the belly scrapers.
Yeah.
Those tires picked up and moved.
Wow.
Full barrels of diesel, and that's about 735 pounds of 55-gallon drum of diesel. Picked up and thrown down the canyon. Yeah. And these things weren't dragged. The tires weren't rolled. I mean, I don't know if you know, in that country, when they build roads, they don't rock the road, not like they do in my country where it rains so much. Mm-hmm. There, it's just fresh open dirt. I mean, there'll be, believe me, when I was logging there's a time or two I tripped and I could measure my length just out because the dust is 8 inches thick.
Yeah.
You know, and so you could see any tracks. There were no tracks other than the individual tracks. There were no tire tracks. That tire was carried. Damn. There was no drum tracks. It was carried. There was a 20-foot section of 24-inch culvert thrown over the bank.
Dang. So that's heavy too.
It's over 300 pounds.
Yeah.
My degree is in logging engineering, and so you know I know what those things weigh. That's part of my job. So yeah, these things were not moved by people playing pranks on one another. It was just too much that happened, and that's what drew Bob and Roger down there in 1967. Same type of thing. But in the meantime, there was a fellow by the name of Thom who headed an expedition, funded an expedition in that area. He was a Texas oil man, very wealthy. That's where people came, like John Green from Canada, Renee Hendon from Canada. And the biggest mistake he made, he brought Peter Burns in. And there were, you know, he had good crews until he brought Burns in, then they all quit and went home. But unfortunately, he died in a plane crash in 1961. And the whole thing died. But in 1967, they found a set of tracks around a fuel tank. And Roger heard about it, got a hold of Bob. Can you take me to Northern California? And Bob is always willing to go somewhere. And they had Labor Day weekend in 1967. They had been to Mount St. Helens. They were going to do some riding there and searching. And it rained so hard, it just, the heavens opened up on them. I don't know if you know the Northwest Washington area, how it can rain, but it gets awful wet when it wants to. And this was one of those weekends. So they packed up and went home early. Bob went back to work, He was a hot melt roofer at the time in Yakima. And then here come Roger with, they found these tracks. We got to go down there. And I got a ranch to run here. And he said, I got a family to raise. He said, I can't leave right now. But a couple of weeks later, his boss said, if you want to take off, we're about to shut her down anyway. In that area, they have to shut down for the winter, especially the hot melt stuff. And so 1st of September, pardon me, 1st of October, they were in California and spent the next 3 weeks riding the trails all day, riding the roads at night, and sleeping an hour or so a day until the 20th of October. And which brings up some really excellent points, some logical points, if you happen to be a person that doesn't believe in the veracity of that film. Number one, if you were going to perpetrate a hoax, why would you drive 600 miles from your home to do it when you lived in the middle of the highest concentration of Sasquatch population in the world?
Exactly. Yeah. Pacific Northwest.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So we'll be smart. We'll drive 600 miles away.
Mm.
Okay. Number two, why would you spend 3 weeks driving around before you filmed your hoax?
Right. And they stayed
Number
months
3,
there, didn't they?
They stayed, no, they were there 3 weeks.
3 weeks. Okay.
They were there actually 20 days. They got there on the 1st, either the 30th of September or the 1st of October. I can't remember which it was, but one or the other. And of course, and then the film was done on the 20th, and the 21st they came home, which is a story in itself. Number 3, if you're going to film a hoax, why would you use the last 23 feet of film on a 100-foot roll of film? Okay.
Exactly.
Number 4, if you're going to film a hoax, why, and use a costume, which this was purported that they did, why would you do it on a noisy creek where your actor can't hear you? He's in a costume. He can't see out. You have no communication with him. Does that make sense to you?
No, it doesn't. And plus, like you said, you're in a costume. You can't see out, but yet she turns and looks back at them without tripping.
Right.
Yep.
Without tripping.
Yeah.
But let me remind me of that, because there is a point to that to be made. Okay. The last thing that I want to bring up is, if you were going to film a hoax, why would you do it all from behind? Any costume maker, and I'm going to quote Bill Munns here because he's the best. He ran the school, in Hollywood. He made The Creature from the Black Lagoon. He made costumes for hundreds of films, and he ran the school on costume making. The back is the worst part of a costume to make. It is absolutely the worst part. It's the hardest to make look real. So why would you film from the back? Okay. By Bob Hieronymus' own words, and it's directly quoted from him. I drove from Yakima down to Northern California. I met him on the banks of the Klamath River, right on the edge of the road. We filmed right next to the road, but then later that changed. We drove 4 or 5 miles up the Bluff Creek Road, got out and filmed it. I put the suit on. I walked across the beach there. Roger filmed me. I took the suit off. I got back in my car and I drove back home again. That's a 12-hour drive each direction. What are the chances you think, that he made that drive without So stop. Okay. Okay. Number 2. Why would you drive that far, put a suit on, and shoot one take only?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 3, the suit was made, and again, his words, from the hide of a red horse that later changed to a black horse. Okay. It was over fish waders on the bottom, and the top pulled on over the top over my shoulders, and I wore football pads to beef it up. Look at that film. Frame 72. You can see her back, the muscles in her back. You know what you have to do in order to do that in the suit? You have to glue it to the individual. Okay. Do it. Put a shirt on and look the person, what it looks like in the back. Okay. It goes right across the backbone. You don't even see the backbone. Okay, this is all, that statement. Oh, what did I tell you to remind me about?
Where she turned her head to look back
where
at
she
them,
turned.
and she
Okay.
didn't trip. She was walking on big giant boulders.
When she turned her head.
Go ahead.
When she turned her head, and she did that when Bob rode across the creek and stepped down off his horse. She turned and looked back at him. That's what she was looking at.
Yep.
Okay. When she did that, you know how we are when we're walking and the ground's a little bit further away than we thought it was, and we hit a little harder than normal. If you have a first generation copy of that film, her boob jiggles. Okay. Bill Munns got money for a study on that, got it funded, and hired actresses and studied that phenomenon. He used all of the prosthetic materials available to them at the time in 1967, and nothing would do that. The only thing that made that jiggle like that was an actual human breast. Now, do you want to ask me if I would believe the film is real or not?
Right? Exactly, huh?
Well,
and even if it was glued to your back and you turn, you would see those lines going like that because they don't have full stretch.
Right.
Would see
right.
Exactly. Stretch in an
it's
angle.
going to stretch in certain areas and loosen in certain areas and stuff like that. And you don't see that.
Yeah.
So
they still can't make a suit
on the Bluff Creek issue? This is a big thing going around right now.
That massacre theory.
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't buy it one bit. So
let's go back and look at some logic again. Okay.
Right.
At that day and age, there was absolutely no negative attached with shooting and killing one of these beings. Okay, none whatsoever. You'd have been a hero if you brought one in. Roger was making a documentary that he wanted to show around the nation. What would augment that more than having a body? So if you were to shoot 9 of them, why would you bury them? Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, how would you go about shooting 9 of them? You'd only have one person with a rifle.
As soon as you shot one, you'd have 8 others tearing you apart.
Oh yeah, very quickly, yeah. But Bob had a Model 720 Remington 30-06 bolt action rifle. It holds 5 shots in the magazine, top loaded. Okay, it means you feed it down bullet by bullet through the bolt. Okay, that's not a quick way to reload. If he shot 9 of them, How in the and
Well,
what was Patty doing all this time?
And Patty walking away. That would have been the first one that they would have shot. And we watched her walk away.
It's absolutely ludicrous.
Yeah.
Of course, when I first brought this up to Davis, he changed the story. Well, it wasn't them that did it. It was the evil timber barons.
Mm.
I said, do you understand? This is national forest. It's public land. 6 Rivers National Forest. There are no timber owners. When a piece of land is going to be logged, Forest Service, U.S. Forest Service decides what's going to be logged. They put that up for bid. Okay? There may be 20 different entities bidding on that patch timber. Sawmills, etc. Timber companies. Each one of those companies might have 10 different Jippo loggers that would log it for them. There's no individual landowner. It's not like a Weyerhaeuser company or a Scott Paper Company or ITT Rainier or any Georgia Pacific.
Mm-hmm.
This is public land.
Right.
Okay. And number one, now, will a timber company do something to protect their interest? Oh, yeah. I can tell you stories about that too. ITT Rainier did the same thing Ray Wallace did. Made tracks around their office. That way, they were very easily proven fake, just like Wallace's are. But that was the point. Oh, yeah, those were proven to be fake. So these over here that they just found, those are fake too. You know how people's mind work.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So they would do that. Yeah. Once one's fake, they're all fake. Everything in the world that has ever been tied to that is fake.
Because of that stigma, you know what I mean? Once you're found fake, then all of them are fake. And it's one thing I've noticed in the age of technology and social media now. It's like everybody wants the truth. Everybody wants the truth. But when you present them the truth, they're like, oh no, you hoaxed it. You're a liar. I don't believe it one bit. And it's like,
they don't want the truth. They want justification for what they think. That's what they want.
Exactly.
Okay?
It has to fit their
a wonderful thing.
It has to fit their motives. You know what I mean?
It's been a wonderful thing. It's created this great medium for information, but it's also done one very negative thing. It's given a platform for idiots. Okay.
Well,
the guy that used to have to stand on a soapbox in the park to get an audience now has a built-in group on Facebook.
Right. I mean, there's great people out there. I mean, we have a lot of them in the chat. You know what I mean? We've got a great people, but yet, like you said, it's a catch-22. Unless it fits their directive and their beliefs, they're not going to buy it one bit.
I've been around this long enough that I don't care what other people's opinions are. I'm not out to change their opinions, and with the exception of a couple of areas, shooting one is one of those. So that worked very hard to change that opinion. But I'll tell exactly what happened, exactly how it happened. I don't have any reason to falsify it. I don't make any money off of it. You guys you're sending my stipend for doing this up by armored car, right? Okay. But the point is, I do have some information and I do like to share it, but I'm going to share it as I see it. Now you've got to remember, that doesn't make it totally correct. It's as I see it. And everything that we witness through our own experience. Okay, let me tell you a story that happened in Northern California in the same area. As a matter of fact, it happened right at the very head of Bluff Creek, on a road called the Go Road. Outpost 14, for those of you who don't like to your area put out. That's how I feel about it. If they don't want you to see them, you're not going to see them. So it doesn't make any difference how many people know where I go. Okay. Milepost 14 on the Go Road, June 20th, I think it was, 2014. We were camped at Elk Meadows, which is at the end of the east side of the Go Road, right at the head of Blue Creek, which is the next bridge over from Bluff Creek. And we were headed back into camp one afternoon, late afternoon, came around the curve at milepost 14, and there were two Sasquatch standing right square in the middle of the road, about 20 feet from the front of my car when I stopped.
Wow.
I had two people with me. Arla Williams was one. She was in the back kind of snoozing. And my shotgun rider was Jackie from England. Jackie had come over for this outing. When she saw that, she just screamed, "Bigfoot!"
Can you imagine?
Yeah. And from that point back to our camp, 20 miles exactly. In that 20 miles, she kept talking herself out of what she'd seen. Her mind would not let her accept that she had seen two Sasquatch. By the time we got back to camp, she had not seen two Sasquatch. She saw two Mexican drug mules wearing long-haired ghillie suits and flip-flops and backpacks.
That's freaking hilarious.
And they were on each other's shoulders.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. It is hilarious, but we watched it happen. And I let it happen because I wanted to see how it would turn out. Finally, it was a day or two later. Arla says, "Jackie, do you realize you've traveled 6,000 miles to see what you saw, and now your mind is not allowing you to do it?"
Mm.
And that, oh, wow, okay. And then she got thinking about it. And by the time I dropped her back at the airport in Portland, she understood what had happened. She understood what she'd seen. But for that period of time, even on that road, she had changed completely from seeing two Sasquatch at 20 feet range and to two Mexican drug mules, because there are drug pros in that area.
Oh yeah.
At the time. I think any area of Northern California that's the number one crop, isn't it?
Yeah, especially Humboldt County, Redding and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to live up there.
North
Yeah.
County.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
so
that's why they got a place called Murder Mountain now. You know?
Right?
Yeah. So yeah, there are those, and her mind knew what those were. She knew what a ghillie suit was. But I'd never seen a long-haired ghillie suit, but she knew what a ghillie suit was coming from England. And the flip-flops, when they turn to move, their feet, bottom of the feet come up, and you can see the Osman pads very plainly. Yeah. That's what led to the flip-flops. And it was a trip. But that road is 24-foot pavement. They were 3/4 of the way across to the north side of it. They turned and were over the bank on the second step.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've personally seen them move in northern Idaho around my father-in-law's house, and I mean, just out of the corner of my, I'll see it's just a black streak. I mean, they're so fast and they're so silent, and that's where I came up with the forest ninjas thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not to be disrespectful. That is exactly what they are. They are forest ninjas. They're so big, They're so fast and they're
Move so
absolutely
fast.
silent, and it's incredible. You know,
Mhm.
you know. I mean, you've
What
been
part of
doing
Idaho
this,
is that?
northern Idaho. I mean, literally an hour away from the Canadian border. So
Okay, up in Sandpoint, up in that area.
exactly.
That's
You got it
where
right
my
there.
first book was set.
Yeah. But
That's
I
where
mean,
my first book was set.
you've been doing this before the internet, and obviously you didn't get to document, you know, like we get to today. You know what I mean? We get to carry a phone around with a camera and put it on YouTube, and this is what I did, this is where I went, this is what happened. All you have is for memory. What was the biggest, most hair-raising experience you've had?
I can't think of a hair-raising experience.
Well, that's probably
I had
good.
one hold my hand. Yeah, I had one hold my hand one time. That was probably the most exciting thing I've ever had happen.
I want to hear it. I want to hear it.
Right.
Well, it was just I don't know. I don't talk about it much because it goes pretty heavy into what you would call the woo.
That's what we do this for. We accept all of it, from physical to the woo. I mean, we do not discount anything here. So, and we've got a great bunch who does the same thing. You got to accept it all.
I have a teacher. His name is Akinisha. He's 9'3" tall and weighs just short of 1,000 pounds. His home range is in the Blue Mountains between Walla Walla and Dayton, Washington. Okay. I met him on the South Fork of the Tuchy River. There again, there's a story in that. I had planned this trip for the 25th of September, 2010. And you're right. When I started, there was no internet. There was I didn't know other people existed that even knew about these things other than an occasional newspaper article. I never spoke to my family about them because all they wanted to do was make jokes and laugh at it, you know. And 35 years, I never even told them what I was doing. And it wasn't until 2009, 2008 that I discovered this group of people like us on the internet that are crazy enough to go out and sit in the woods all day long, all night long, and look for these guys. And I lived in Kennewick, Washington, southeastern Washington, and the Blue Mountains were my running grounds. And I decided I wanted the weekend away from home. I had cabin fever right to there. So I had my goal for the 25th of September. And my mentor, Arla Williams, lives in Oklahoma. I was talking to her one day, and Arla is a very special person. She's half, you're shaking your head, you know Arla. She's half Cherokee, quarter Choctaw, and quarter Scottish. I've always said the last thing you ever want to do is make her angry. And but she's also very much hold that thought on that question. She's also very she's also very much a shaman. She's amazed me with the things she's done. But this particular day, we were talking about this outing I was planning. She says, "That road you're going up," she says, "is there a pile of logs, pile of wood laying alongside that road?" I said, "To be truthful with you, I don't know, because I've never been on this road. I've been on the top, ridge top on both sides, but the road up the bottom has been closed. It used to belong to Boise Cascade Timber Company. They closed down that tree farm and they deeded that to the Indians, Umatilla Confederate Tribes Umatilla Indian Reservation. And it's Indian land now, and it's been closed while they've been doing work on the road and such like that. And they just opened it up to the public. So that's why I'm going in there, because I've never been there. So what I decided to do is I would drive till I found this a pile of wood, and I'd just sit there. I have a method I use when I go into a new area that works very well. It requires some specific gear. I need my folding chair. I need an ice chest with what I call chicken nips, basically fried chicken thighs, boiled eggs, and Diet Pepsi, my Kindle, and I go in. I park my car, get out, open up my chair. I have a little altar I hang. It's a Indian medicine arrow with feathers on it, and then I sit down, grab a chicken hip and a Diet Pepsi, and open my Kindle, and I sit down and I start reading and wait for them to find me. And I was there till from 8:30 in the morning. I had stopped on the way out and at an orchard that had been picked and gleaned a box of apples and had that sitting there for them, and also a box of grapes. And it was about 2:30 in the afternoon. I'm sitting there and I hear this voice in my mind, and I'd never heard such a thing in my life. It said, "I can't come out now. I wanted you to see me, but I can't come out." And
I think that that comment right there answers Chris Marola's question.
Yeah. That's where I would run.
There you go, Chris.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, if that's what you could label as paranormal, then absolutely yes. But there's other things that I've seen them do too that blow your mind away. But
you probably wouldn't blow my mind because I've experienced some pretty heavy stuff that I don't think even you would believe. So, but I'll tell you this, and I'll say it this way: they have a very unique, special set of skills and abilities.
And he told me, we have no ability or skill now that you did not at one time have.
That's right. That is right. So you just got to reawaken it in your own head, you know.
That's right.
And
that's right. Now I've been asked about this, mind speak thing, but how many people have heard the voice of the Holy Ghost? Okay, I was driving home from one night, rainy night. A pickup passed me at a high rate of speed. I mean, 80, 85 mile an hour. And the voice said, "Slow down. He's not going to make the curve." I immediately backed off. He went around the curve, and when I got up, I didn't want to go around that curve. It's a pickup load of kids is what it was. I'm going back from a basketball game. And fortunately, they had just spun out and were in the infield on the on-ramp to the freeway. So I just called for help and had a tow truck come to tow them out. But that voice came into my mind. It's the same thing. It's just a different voice. Okay? It's exactly the same thing. But at any rate, continue the story about Akanisha. I said, well, if you can't come out, perhaps it'd be better if I just returned another day. I said, I wish I'd have known. It was Saturday. And it was dumb because I said, I'm retired. I could have been here Tuesday as well as Saturday. It didn't make any difference what day of the week it was. Heavens, I operate on 6 Saturdays and a Sunday. That's my week. And he said, perhaps that would be better. So I loaded everything back in my car. I was just putting my right leg into the car. And they do this whistle. And basically it's an attention getter. He's over here with me. I'm watching type thing. Well, I've heard that enough. Now my eyes just pop to it when I hear it. And my eyes locked around, and here he's standing there. 9'3" tall. Very dark, but has a red stripe that runs from the point of his left shoulder across his chest to above his right hip. And he said that's a mark of his standing within his community.
Wow.
And he said, I wanted you to see me before you left, since you had come this far. And since then, he appears to me regularly. I've written 13 books now, and every one of them are at his urging, his guide. That's my job. That's what I do. I'm a scribe for them to tell their story. I'm working on one right now that I thought my last one that I published in April was going to be my last book. Well, I had forgotten to ask Akanisha about that. And when he got done with the budectomy on me, there's at least one more in my schedule.
Oh my gosh.
So that's what we're working on now.
We also have a fellow author in the chat, Chris Marola. He's also written a book on his encounter called The One
That's
Who Runs
cool.
and Hides. And, you know, he's a great guy. You know, he's honest, outstanding. He's down to earth. And if he said he saw Bigfoot, I would have absolutely no problem going. I bet you did. Because,
and this is a major point too. I've had people say, well, they said they did, but I don't trust anybody. Well, excuse me, but if I can't trust him, he's not my camp. You know.
Yeah.
If
get out of my tent.
Yeah. I spent 9 years in the Navy in submarines. You trust your partner. You know, your life's in his hands.
That's right.
Okay.
You know,
you learn to find the people that you can trust, and that's who you run with. That's who you go with.
right.
I can't believe them. They're not there. You know, it's just that simple.
That's what I'm thinking.
Barb Shoop, Squatching with Barb and Gabby. Barb's holding now.
I've been subscribed to her for many, many years.
Yeah. You've been her mentor, haven't you?
She's more or less, yeah. She's just salt of the earth, doing things mainly in the mentoring and how to go about forensics and that sort of thing.
Right.
They just got back from the Blue Mountains and had a wonderful time. The stuff they had happen is unbelievable.
Yeah, the things I've seen on her shows, on her videos, are pretty amazing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And
then you set up an expedition one.
My favorite. I'm sorry, I gotta on the Barb and Gabby thing. My favorite thing that actually brought a tear to my eye was when Gabby passed away and the Bigfoot came and decorated her grave. I mean, I cried. That was when I knew at that point these things aren't out to hurt us. It's all in how you approach them. It's all in how you approach them.
If you go out there expecting to see a monster, you're going to see a monster. You know, it's just how that works.
Right.
They're not monsters. No, they do not have a vicious bone in their body. Now, will they defend themselves? Oh, yes, they will.
Absolutely.
Will they defend their children? Oh, yes, in spades they will.
Humans will too.
Right.
So
that's right.
You know, I mean, I've been in places like northern Idaho. Those seem to be curious and playful. Where I've been in a place in Fawnskin, California, and I did, it didn't feel aggressive, but defensive because they didn't know who I was. They didn't know what my intention,
I'm sure,
so.
Yeah, defensive is a whole lot different than aggressive.
Right.
But even if they are aggressive, why are they aggressive? You may have come at a bad time.
Right.
I mean, I've had visitors show up at a bad time. Yeah, it just may be that simple. Have I ever found myself in a place where I wasn't wanted for one reason or another? Yes, I have. And what did I do about it? I left.
Left.
Yeah.
That's it.
Went back and
Sorry. I'm out.
Went back at a different time. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Didn't mean sorry.
Sorry I bothered you.
You know,
Mhm.
I actually had a comment on one of my videos, or I actually watched a video, and a woman in the UK, Deborah Flello, she goes out in the woods and she finds these structures, and she, you know, they got the wild man out there, and you know, oh, here I am, and she said, she makes a comment on a text comment, oh, here I am going with my feelings, you know, this isn't very scientific. And I commented, this is how you do it. You have to go by the feeling, because that's how they get things across to you, is through feeling. Hunters go by feeling. Hunters hunt by feeling. And they have a saying, if it don't feel right, get out. That's a feeling, you know?
You're
So
exactly
I'm
right.
trying to direct her, no, go with your feelings. You go with it, you know, because that's how
And
you're
just
going to get the
chronicle
furthest.
and just chronicle everything. Make sure you keep good records.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the Barb and Gabby, but 2 years ago, Kevin and Ashley found 2 butt prints.
What did they find? You got cut out.
These things are so real. 2 butt prints
Oh, butt
where
print.
they'd sat in the mud. Okay. Yeah. These things are so detailed. One of them's a female, juvenile female, 22 inches across. Okay. You can see the labia. You can see the hair on the legs in the mud, the striations from the hair. You can see the anus, the whole thing. Okay. The other one is a juvenile male, youngster, even younger than the female. And you can see the scrotum and you can see the hair. It's so detailed. It's probably the best physical evidence that's surfaced in the last 25 years. It's just absolutely beautiful. And, you know, if you haven't seen it, get her video and watch that. It's fantastic. Like I say, they got the 2 of them. That was a beautiful sight. And that's where we started really making a case for doing forensic investigations. And there was the most beautiful handprint there with it. We got it on film, or they got it on film. I wasn't there that day. But the fingers were actually like that in the soil, in the mud. And unfortunately, somebody stepped on it before they could get it cast. And it was fantastic. The cast came out beautifully. Just,
I wonder how much casting powder that would have taken to cast them 2 big old butts in the handprint.
You imagine?
You would have had to lug out like 50 pounds of casting powder, you know, and then have a forklift pick it up, you know. But I would sure
they
be a
ran
sight
out.
to cast. Yeah, yeah, you know.
Yeah, they ran out. Mm-hmm.
That's I mean, there's great evidence out there. Absolutely, you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're
Absolutely.
geared toward, you know. I mean, everybody has an experience. I've had the same experience that a gentleman in Colorado's had. You know, he heard footsteps come up behind him, turn around, there's nothing there, but there's a stick stuck in a mound of dirt. You know, I mean, I'm in Southern California, he's in Colorado, and we've had the same experience. You know, so
crazy.
Yeah,
you can't dispel everything.
Follow a trackway across the snowfield, get out in the middle of the field and have the track disappear.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. No trees, no nothing around. All say it just stops, and that's it. That's
Yeah.
all you get.
All
You
gone.
know? I mean,
Yeah.
so
We were talking about, not discounting other people. Back in 2010, June of 2010, I was at the Oregon Sasquatch Symposium in Eugene, Oregon, Toby Johnson's conference. And Sally Wolford, Sally Autumn Way's mother, has written a book called Valley of the Skookum. And in that book, she was telling about a story where she saw tracks appearing, nothing making them, just the tracks across the field appearing. And at the break after her talk, I probably had 15, 20 people come up and ask me, is that true? Does that happen? I said, all I can tell you is it has not me, but that's Sally's experience. That's not my experience. I don't know what can happen because I wasn't there. But I can say I know enough about Sally, know that I cannot see her deliberately telling the untruth. Okay. Following, March, I think, maybe April. I was in the McMinnville, Oregon area. I had taken Dr. Igor Burtsev to meet a fellow there. And they had gone on a hike up the hill. And my hiking days are pretty much over. And, I can make it from my chair to the dinner table and back if I use my walker. But they went on. I was just going to sit in my car. I had a bag of apples I put out, and I put out 25 apples. I counted them, stacked them in a pyramid on this flat rock there, and let them go. And I had just put brand new batteries in my camera that morning when I left the motel, and go sit and write. Well, the next thing I knew, I was sound asleep. I woke up. I thought it was 5 minutes later. It turned out it was about 30 minutes later. And there were 5 apples left. I went to take a picture, and my camera wouldn't work. And I looked down this little swale there, little berry bottom, salmonberry bottom in the alders. And it's wet, muddy area. And I'm looking, and here are these 2 sets of tracks appearing in the mud side by side. I sat there and I watched that, and I was, man, I'm sure glad I didn't say that was impossible.
Right?
yeah, right.
How they do it, I have no idea.
And, until we get to sit down at a table across from one and say, how do you do this?
You'll never know. Recently I just got my band strap from my camera broken. And it's made out of what are these things made out of?
They're made out of the military grade nylon straps.
Nylon, yeah.
It would probably take 1,000 pounds of pressure to snap that 3/4 of an inch strap.
That was just on Saturday I went up there. Sunday. It was Saturday, and my camera was actually faced up, and the strap was broken. It wasn't even connected to anything. It was just tied to knot. It was like a loop. They broke it in half.
Yeah.
And then threw my camera down. And there was nothing on there. What they did is they waited for the camera to run out of space and it stopped flashing. And then they messed with it. And so if anybody knows how to set up a trail camera on a timer I don't know how to do it. Yeah,
you got to get a plot watcher. Plot watchers, I think, are the only ones that just continuously run.
Well, these will run. This will run like it'll take pictures at whatever time I want it to set it up for. But I don't know the best efficient way to do it to where it'll take the most pictures and what's the best time, a time lapse or whatever, like a time for each picture to do it. If somebody knows how, let me know, because I'm going to do it without the IR light because they could see that darn thing.
Yeah, they're smart.
Yes, that's what convinced me that they have vision into the IR range.
Yeah.
Are those cameras?
Yeah.
They could pick those out so fast. It was unreal.
Yep.
And like I said, I consider them to be the best Sasquatch repellent that was ever invented. I just don't use
We
them.
have a saying in the Bigfoot community, at least the people out in the field and stuff. Your best weapon is a camera.
Yeah, to keep them away.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, your best weapon is a camera. You don't need a gun. That's just gonna piss them off.
Yeah.
Your best weapon is a camera.
Just hopefully the car doesn't fill up before the morning.
We think of ourselves being blessed here in the West, but I've spent a lot of time in Oklahoma and Georgia too, and they have huge populations there too. A few years ago, 2015, I think, maybe it was 2014, we're sitting at a campfire. We had about 20 people in camp. I think there were 18 at the campfire. And all of a sudden, the lady directly across the fire from me, looks like she swallowed a carrot. Her eyes kind of get big, and I got the idea. And I looked around real quick. There's two of them standing right behind me, right at the campfire.
Crazy. Hey, I got a question for Kevin. Before we keep going, does your wife want you off?
No.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
We're good. We're good.
Yeah. I don't want to get that.
Got nothing going on. So,
all right. You did too long, Lewis.
She's got the iPad. It's set up on her channel, so she can comment if she had an issue. She'd put it in the comments. But
I don't get that.
No, I think we're good. We just got to go feed the cats later on tonight. Other than that,
just let me know if she gives you the signal saying "get off."
No,
let me know.
No, we're good. We're good.
All right,
we're good. It's been a busy week, and we're trying to. I'm trying to settle down, but after going out that night to those structures, man, that wiped me out. That wiped me out. That was. I knew something was up on that hill watching me, and I got eye shine of two individuals watching me. So
yeah, he just took a vacation. He went up to Big Bear, and that's why he's that's where he's been.
Yeah, we went on a camping trip for a week, and then came back, and then I went out to my area, and then it's just one thing after.
When that happens, just talk to them.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Tell them who you are. Tell them why you're there.
Yeah. I did that. I actually turned my camera off and did that. I was like, "Hey guys, we're not here to hurt you. We're just checking out your beautiful structures you've made." And needless to say, they let us walk out of there. But they did follow us back to camp. They did break some branches, and I believe they threw a pine cone through the trees at us. But it was
if throwing things at 99% of the time is juveniles.
Right.
Yeah. That's the kids. They're just playing.
They're just playing.
Has anybody ever been hurt?
Anybody
ever been hurt with that thing thrown? No.
I woke up the next morning. There was a big, huge stump back behind our camp, and there was a single rock put on it. And I went, "Who put that rock there?" And they was like, "I didn't put that rock there. I didn't put that rock there." Well, where'd the rock come from? So my wife actually experienced that. We were standing by the fire, and she heard the branches break, and she heard the pine cone come through the it didn't sound like a normal pine cone falling down a tree and thumping. No, it sounded like it was thrown through with velocity through several trees. That's what it sounded like. And then you hear the donk, 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 which suggests that it was at an arc angle, not falling straight down, So, but it was cool.
Right.
It was cool. I enjoyed it.
Yep. Gifting and rocks are something that they do a lot with me. Elk Meadows. 2014, when we were at Elk Meadows, I went to Went to my tent, opened up, looked inside, and here on my bunk, right at the head of my bunk, there's that laying on my bunk.
Oh yeah, you got to keep that, huh?
On your bunk?
Oh yeah, yeah.
You got to keep that.
On my bunk.
That's
You know?
crazy.
Oh, absolutely. Yep. They gift me so much with rocks. Sometimes my jacket doesn't get back home until about 15, 20 minutes after I do.
Oh, I got gifted. I believe I got gifted intestines from some animal. I got gifted intestines from some animal. Right when I started leaving apples for him in this area, shortly after, I walked through this trail. There's a branch that comes over and it wies out, and it was wrapped around 3 times, brought down, wrapped around the stick 3 more times, and then wrapped around in a V shape. I mean, literally right where I go walking, right on the path I walk, and it's like, that ain't coincidence. There's nothing that's going to wrap intestines from an animal around a stick. They wanted me to see it, and hey guys, thank you for the gift. But you're more than welcome to keep it. I don't need any gifts from you. I'm just here to bring you gifts. I enjoy doing it. I talk to them like people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do too.
That's what they are. They're just a people. So,
that's exactly what they are. Another us. Okay, Crooked River area in Georgia. I don't know that area. Where we were was western Georgia, about 8 miles, 10 miles from the Alabama line. And it's an area that several years in a row before I finally got too sick to travel. Last year I went there, Bob Gimlin and I went together, and we had a ball. I mean, they showed us a great time. They really did.
Didn't you set up did you set up I don't know, expedition with a bunch of cars, like a convoy of cars? Didn't you set up something like that? I heard you found a footprint, didn't you?
That was back in 2012, and we had a conference in Richland, Washington, which is down the southeastern corner of the state. And the Friday, what we had planned to have just a meet and greet. But during the day, I said, if anybody wants to take a trek out to the Blue Mountains, we can go out there and spend the day. I can't stay there because I've got stuff that I have to do for the conference, so I have to come back. But I'll sure take you out there and show you where to go. And I figured we'd probably have 25, 30 people show up to do that. Because we'll meet at the Shiloh Inn in Richland at 9 a.m. We'll leave at 9 a.m. I walked out of that place at 9 a.m. There were 33 cars, people.
You expected 3 or 4 cars.
I
want to go. I'm going.
How many people per car?
You probably had people lined up
anywhere from 3 to 5 per car.
Wow.
And and so here we were. We formed a convoy across the desert.
That's funny.
Out through the wheat fields, all the way 75 miles out to the Blue Mountains, and they had a ball. They had a little ball. Alex Evans, I don't know if you know Alex, the artist from Indiana. She was with me. A little redheaded little doll, just a sweetheart. And I took her down to show her where I had met Akanisha. That had happened 2 years before, year and a half before. And then we came back because I had, like I said, I had a lot to do. But it was, we're sitting there. He's up on a hill behind the stump. He wouldn't show himself to Alice because it would frighten her. And his daughter was with him, and she's a redhead, red body. Okay. And she was so totally excited to find a human woman that had the same color hair she did. And she was probably 10 years old at the time. And she's a very precocious 15-year-old now. but yeah, that was so cool. But he says, my people are enjoying watching your people.
It's
I just lined them out on this ridge top and let them have a ball. They found tracks, they found some artifacts, and everybody had a ball.
you brought up that she was a redhead, and the one watching was red.
Yeah,
that's kind of the situation I'm in right now. It's I have red hair and a beard, and the female that I go out, her name is Mercy, and she's red. So I think that's the connection. You know what I mean?
Yep. Could well be.
She's the. I actually took apples, a banana, and a bag of Chex Mix, and put them in a bucket, and I'm like, you know what, girl? Don't let me down. I'm leaving my voice recorder out here. I'm not leaving a camera. I'm leaving the voice recorder out here. Give me some good stuff.
They generally don't mind. Don't mind the voice recorders.
No, the last time I left it out there, you can clearly hear them push over a tree.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty clear. So
if anybody has questions, just leave it in caps if you don't mind. I think I see questions, but I'm not sure if it's who it's to. So just capitalize it and then make it easier for me to find it.
And if there's something you'd like to talk about, let me know.
Yeah. If there's a topic you guys want to know, let them know.
So, I mean, I can imagine and stuff. You've had your fair share out in the field. Obviously, you probably
I've
thousands of hours logged. You know, and
I got to watch the birth of twins once, and that was to live for. That was worthwhile. That was beyond worthwhile.
That's incredible.
That was, first thing they do when they're born is take them to the creek and wash them off.
Yeah, and just like
we do,
we take them over to the sink and we wash them off. You know, so that's one thing I'm noticing is they're a lot more human than people think they are. You know what I mean? The only thing that's not human of them is their size, their strength, and their looks. That's it.
But still, it's in proportion to us.
It is.
Their foot length in comparison to their height is precisely the same as us.
Yeah.
Their height is exactly 6.5 times the length of their foot. Period.
Yeah.
That's another subject. Something I did. Actually, I did it back in the early 70s, but I was working for doing consulting forestry work as an engineer in the state of Washington. If you're going to build a road that crosses a stream used by anadromous fish, runs, salmon, steelhead, those that migrate from the ocean, you have to have a permit from the state. In order to get that permit, you have to submit a report, and part of that report is your design. You have to know what the stream is about. So they would hire me to go in, and I would measure the stream flow, measure the width, measure the depth, the low water depth, the high water depth, the floodplain, the soil types, the bank types, then design the bridge to fit it, and then submit that to the state. And the neat thing about that was it was contract work, so I could do it whenever I had time. I was running a small logging company at the same time. So when I had a few hours off, I'd go do a report. Sometimes I had to walk in 3, 4, 5, many as 7 miles on occasion to get to the site where the bridge was going to be. Well, one thing I learned very early on is you don't want to hike in that 5 or 6 miles, do your report, get back to your office and start writing it up, drawing it up, and find out you've forgotten to take one measurement. and have to hike back in to take one stupid measurement. It ruins your whole day. And so what I would do is I'd sit down just on the bank of the stream and with my little write in the rain notebook, do a rough drawing to make sure I had all of the measurements. And this is when I started seeing, because what would happen, there you are sitting quietly in the timber, back in the old growth timber, 400-year-old timber, and probably has not been a person there in 400 years. And you're sitting there quietly. The next thing you know, you hear that. And you look up, and here's an eyeball peering around a tree at you. Aha! This is where the modus operandi came from. The method I use to this day. Okay, but I got one day I was walking in, and I came around a big root wad, and here's a big male, like 9.5, 10 foot tall male standing there eating huckleberries. And well, hi guy, how are you doing today? What do? You're 10 feet away, And he looked at me, did the double take, and turned around and just walked off. And the reason I was there that day was because the water had just dropped down back into the banks and streams and the river, and I could get in. This is Dickey River country. It's very, very wet. 200 inches of rain a year type of wet. And and I was there because the water had finally dropped enough to allow me to get in. And when he walked off, of course, he left a beautiful trackway. So being an engineer, what's an engineer have to do? You got to measure it, right? So I measured the length, measured the pace, the stride and the depth of the prints. And I got the wise I did take off my own course and walk beside him and see how I compared. And I was shocked that it didn't compare. So then, well, why? Why am I not sinking? The only reason I'm not sinking in is because our pounds per square inch pressure we're putting on the ground has to be different. It doesn't make any difference in the area. If the PSI is the same, you'll think the same, okay? So I measured that. What I found was I was putting like 33.5, 34 square inches of my foot on the ground on pace. He was putting like 85 or 86 square inches of foot on the ground. That got me curious, and I started a program. And I devised a tool. Basically, it was just a box with one single foot on it. And I could change that foot depending on the size of the track that I had. And I had been measuring tracks and using a planimeter, which is an engineer's device for getting the areas of uneven structures. And use it like for gravel piles, stuff like that. You can run this thing around the surface of the gravel pile, and they'll tell you how much area is inside of it. And I used that on their tracks to find out what the area of their track was. Then I knew the length. Well, to get the width, it's just a matter of dividing that area by the length, and it gives you the width, right? Length times width equals area. And I found out that a track width, on the average, is 40% of its length. Okay, this is overall. This puts you in the center of the bell curve. Okay, now I had the width, I had the length, I had the area. Now all I needed was the weight. Okay, so I devised this bin. It's a big box with this foot. And I would load it with sandbags, and I'd weigh them as we put them in. Okay, and measure when it got down to the same depth of the track I was working with. So I knew how much weight it took to sink that many square inches that deep into the soil.
That's smart. Yeah.
After I'd done this a few hundred times, well, not 100, but many times, I came up with an average there. The average is 7.5 pressure they exert on the ground when their foot's in full contact. Okay. Now, just give me the length of a track, 15-inch track. Oh, he'll be 8 foot, 1.5 inches tall. He'll weigh 675 pounds. It's that simple. His track will be 15 inches long, 4 inches wide, 6 inches wide, pardon me, 90 square inches, times 7.5, 675 square inches.
Now that's documentation.
That's actually that's what we go by today. You know, we measured a 13-inch track when we were out camping, and it was 5.5 inches wide. You know, 5 3/4 inches wide, and that fits right in there. You know what I mean?
Falls right in the pickle barrel.
And if you got a 13-inch footprint, you know, you basically cut it in half, and that gives you the height. You know what I mean? So he was probably a 6.5 foot individual. So that's what we go by today. You know, so
this is a study. I don't have the letters behind my name to be able to do a verified peer-reviewed study on this. Write a peer-reviewed paper. It needs to be done. And so if anybody knows somebody who has the horsepower to do that and has the interest, give them my name. I'll set them up on how I did it. So we can get that done. So that information will be available officially to everybody. That's what it's all about. And like I said, I came up with this back in the 70s. It never dawned on me to let anybody else have the information until just recently. Mainly because people wanted to argue with it, and I don't argue. I'll discuss anything.
Right.
But the instant the voices go up, logic goes out the window. And respect is everything.
Right. Yeah, it is.
Absolutely.
It's everything.
You know.
Yeah.
Dr. Meldrum and I have the craziest relationship in the world. We disagree with 60% of what one another says. Okay? He's a nice guy. He just doesn't have any eyeball experience.
Right.
He hasn't done the Diane Fossey, Jane Goodall thing.
Right. And they didn't do that. I mean, they spent 20 years out in the jungles. I mean, come on. I mean, that is that's serious research right there. You know what I mean? You get a couple of days out in the woods. I mean, that really ain't nothing. That ain't.
They were labeled as lunatics for doing it. Okay, if it hadn't been for the fact that Jane Goodall was sponsored by Louis Leakey, nothing would have ever come of that.
No.
He had the letters behind his name.
Yeah.
He had the credentials. Okay. And that's what this little study needs. It needs those credentials. I was really surprised there was an edition of Monster Quest. And I think they were in Canada. I think it was the second Snowgrove Lake incident.
The Snowgrove, the guy that had the cabin and put the board down with all the screws.
They had the cabin, and they wait till they finally got him standing around, throwing rocks on the cabin roof.
Yep.
And what do? They all run inside and shut the door and pull the window shades. There's scientists for you.
I've never been so afraid in my life.
Yeah. Right. What the hell are you doing there? Pardon my French.
That's what you're there to do.
They they built the same type of device that I used to measure a track. I thought that was pretty clever. Hey, I know that. I should have patented it now. Been a big call for
it from somewhere, right?
Yeah. Well, no, they didn't get it from me because I never told anybody about it. But it's something they came up independently. But,
Yeah, I
But,
remember that guy's cabin kept getting torn up, and he took that 2
Yeah.
foot by 3 foot piece of wood and stuck with hundreds of screws in it,
yeah,
nails, and put it right by the front door, and came back, and front door was kicked in, and there was a big bloody footprint. I think it was 18 and a half inches or something, you know?
like 17 inches. Yeah,
Yeah, about 8 and a half, 9 inches
And
wide. So
there again, that was the first incidence of known DNA test too. And look at all the heat. You want to read a good book. Pardon me. You might guess where we are here. Called Truth Denied by Scott Carpenter.
Yeah, Scott Carpenter.
Scott's not one of my bosom buddies, but he tells a good story in his book. He tells the story of what happened with the Melba Ketchum Sasquatch Genome Project.
Yeah, and the Erickson Project.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And it's what he says in there is true. Okay.
Yeah.
And all of the work, all the static that she took, nobody has ever shown me where her science is wrong. Now, I don't like her.
Not one person has ever come out and said, this is where you're wrong. Not one.
Yeah. Not one. She didn't do that testing in her bathroom sink.
No, she didn't.
Okay. That went to major universities.
I believe it went to 3 universities.
Went to 4.
4.
That was the original 4 hair samples went to 4 universities. The 109 samples went to 23 different universities and labs. Okay, but when the original 4 were University of Southern California, University of Texas Arlington, Texas A&M University, and Eastern University. Okay, that's what caused the initial question, because she didn't want to do it. She didn't want to get involved. She didn't believe in Sasquatch. But David Paulides brought these hairs to her from the Hoopa Project. And she had said, okay, I'll have them tested forensically. Sent them out for forensic testing, and then sent them for DNA testing. The forensic testing came back non-human primate, unknown non-human primate. When the DNA came back, it came back human.
I believe when the DNA came back, it came back as human female, unknown male.
Right. That's the first part was just hair. And that just came back as human because it was a mitochondrial DNA. It turns out that they can only extract mitochondrial DNA from Sasquatch hair. Yours and mine, they can extract nuclear DNA and mitochondrial DNA easily. But Sasquatch will only yield at this point with the methods they have available now, will only yield mitochondrial DNA. And mitochondrial DNA comes from your mother's line. Your mother, your grandmother, great-grandmother, great-great-grandmother, right on back. Matrilineal.
Yeah, the female side.
Right. So now they had a quandary. They had a forensic analysis that says non-human primate. A DNA analysis that says you're human. So that's when she went ahead and started put together the 109 samples. Paulides got some of them, Carpenter got some of them, and even had a toenail from down in New Mexico.
Right. Okay. Toenail.
And these were sent out to 23 different labs. Okay, blind study. nobody they were kidding. They were just testing material.
Right.
Matter of fact, University of North Carolina or North Carolina State, I can't remember which one of the two, said if you use our name in conjunction with this, we will sue you. When they found out that it was Sasquatch,
Right.
they wanted nothing to do with it.
Nope.
Yeah, and that's what plagued the whole thing.
Yeah.
Then you add in that idiot that murdered those two, and the shenanigans going on there to protect his butt, to keep him from being arrested, and it just all went to hell in a handbag. But there's still nothing wrong with the science. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And you're right. The final results were the mitochondrial DNA is pure human. The nuclear DNA has non-human markers. The kicker there is those non-human markers, 2.4 billion samples in the gen bank, and they don't show up at all. No idea what they are.
Nope.
So there, that opens your door for extraterrestrials. It opens, and I'm not even going to go there because I don't have any idea.
Right.
I'm as curious. I'm as curious as the next person.
Yeah. Yeah. You know,
Are there other intelligences in the universe? Absolutely.
I think
Have
the
they come
universe
here?
is just
don't know.
way too small for it not to have any other intelligent life in it, or way too big.
I think we'd
You
have.
know,
Right.
it's way
I'm not
too
even
big
sure that
not
there's
to. You know, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
we can't be the only ones
I'm not
in
even
here.
sure there's intelligent life here, especially around election time.
The way things are going lately, I got to agree with
Yeah.
you. The way things are going lately, man. Good Lord, man. You call yourselves human? Come
Yeah.
on now, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But
Yeah,
we're not here to talk about that. We're not here to talk about that.
No,
We'll
matter
leave
of fact,
we'll
my
leave that
teacher,
right where it is.
Nietzsche forbids me to even talk about politics.
Yeah.
There are young people to do it. They can handle it, and it makes no difference anyway.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's actually one of the things that we will not do politics on this show, and we will not do religion.
Mhm.
Not saying that we are not religious and we don't believe in God, but we are not
Keeping the drama away.
Yes,
No,
just
Each
for the drama
person's
factor.
entitled to his own opinion, and
Exactly.
yeah, people take
Everyone
that
is
too much to
entitled
heart.
to their own opinion. We don't have to like it. We just have to respect it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
You know.
At
So
any rate, to finish the statement I was making about Dr. Meldrum, he and I disagree with probably 60% of each one of us says, and yet we shake hands and go home friends. You can disagree without being disagreeable. It's all right to have a different opinion. I have never learned anything worth knowing from somebody who agreed with me totally.
that's
I
right.
learn from people that have different opinions,
Exactly.
and I listen to their opinions, and
Yep.
then I see how that fits with what I'm finding, and that's where and that's how you grow. That's how you learn.
Exactly.
You were talking about till we can sit down at the table and talk and ask. I've asked that question many times, and I get the same answer. I get one of two answers. Now is not the time for you to do that, Thom. I hear that one a lot. And well, when is the time? I'll let you know.
Yeah.
So we just go on and do our thing. I think, go back in my little box and behave myself.
Right.
So, that is exactly what we are dedicated here, is to listening to everyone's opinions, listening to their theories, listening to their experiences, and not discrediting it. Well, for one, we weren't there, for one,
Right.
you know,
Right.
so who's to say?
Right.
And Two, this is how we learn. You know, you got to take all to do it properly and scientifically. You have to accept all of the information.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't accept all of the information, then you're not doing it right.
Yeah.
So,
and that's why it's so important to establish a train of evidence, a train of custody on your evidence.
Right.
You've got to remember, nobody can prove anything to anyone. All you can do is offer evidence.
Right.
It's up to each individual to decide themselves how evidence it takes to create proof in their own mind. That's why there's 12 jurors on the jury, because everybody has a different level of requirement for evidence. And it takes all 12 of them to agree.
Yep.
Still not infallible, but it's a whole lot better.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it's been an hour and a half. Maybe we should cut it here. And would you be able to come back again in some other time? Or
I can come back anytime.
I know you got more
I
stories.
can come back anytime.
I know you
got a couple.
I mean, we could do a 6-hour show just the questions I have for you, but
yeah, I don't want to hear you out right now. You know.
So, Thom,
maybe about the time on Prince Wet.
It has been an absolute honor and a pleasure to talk to you. You are definitely one of the greatest minds on this topic, at least in my mind. And I would love to definitely talk to you again.
Yeah,
hear some more of your
absolutely
personal experience.
I've got a website, and it's hard to remember, thomcantrall.com. And it's not real great, but it has a lot of my videos there, essays that I've done on video, and it has my books there and other things. But that's not the important thing. There's a lot to learn there. Unfortunately, I've been, this COVID thing is. I spent 16 weeks living in a 10-by-10 room.
Right.
Okay. And let me tell you, it's knocked me for a loop. I can hardly walk now. And so,
just send me
that recover.
And then I'll post it on the description too.
Pardon me?
Just send it to just email me, and I'll post it on here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And I'll do that. That's, like I say, it's only, but I'm always available to talk. Catch me on Facebook. I have a channel on YouTube. And if you have questions, just send me an email from the website. You can contact me directly to my own email. No big deal. Thank you guys very much. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was great. We
we're going to do it again.
You can tell it's fun because my dinner's sitting here and I haven't eaten it
yet. Yeah. Oh, that's when you know you're into it. You know your dinner's sitting there and it's getting cold.
Okay. Good night, gentlemen. Good night, people.
All right. Good night.
Thank you for joining us, Thom. And everybody, go check out his website, check out his YouTube channel, check out his lectures, read his books, everything. Go check him out. He's one of the most prolific people in this topic.
Yeah.
He's been doing it for almost 60 years, people.
That's crazy, huh?
Before the internet. So, I mean, we are so fortunate to have this platform to do this on now and to be able to carry cameras with us wherever we go to document all this stuff. He didn't. He has to go by memory. Mm-hmm. You know, he's got to go by personal experiences and memory.
His Facebook loaded with stuff.
Yes, check out his Facebook page.
I'll put that in the description too.
Put it all down there. Go check it out.
What happened to you?
What happened to me?
Yeah, on your vacation. What happened?
What do you mean? What happened?
Like, tell us some stuff. And you were met down there and all that.
we went camping for the week, and Sasquatch Omega. I threw the invitation out to Sasquatch Omega. I threw it out to Bronzini Bigfoot. Unfortunately, Bronzini Bigfoot was at the Mogollon Rim, so he couldn't make it, but Sasquatch Omega did.
Right.
So he got in late that night because he had to take care of a bunch of stuff at work.
Mm-hmm.
And so he just set it up his bed and went to sleep. And I was, asleep and everything. Woke up and we had typical camp breakfast and everything. We got ready. And, well, we took off. We took off out in the woods. And I went and showed him something that was 50 yards from our camp, maybe 40 yards from our camp. And it was a big old tree. And inside that tree, it had grown around a big rock.
Oh, yeah.
Two rocks.
Mm-hmm.
But mixed in with those two rocks was strips of bark with rocks on top of it. And on top of that was a broken branch on both ends. Both ends were broken.
Oh, that's weird. On
the ground, right next to that, was a fake fire pit.
They're practicing, huh?
We're at a campsite. They've been doing to mimic stuff.
Yeah, they do, yeah.
So we said, he's like, that is definitely stuff they do. But we're next to a campsite. It could have been kids. But so we look up and there's this huge branch just weaved in between all kinds of other branches. And he's like,
what?
Yeah, I don't think kids did that anymore.
Yeah.
And that's what he went into. Imagine if you're 9 feet tall,
right?
That would put you that branch right at that eye level. You know what I mean? So we start walking. We were going to go down parallel to the hillside, and we were going to go left where it looked like it was a lot less steep to get over to the hill across the meadow. And for some reason, I didn't do that. We got to that part where we should have turned left, and I kept going up the hill. I don't know why I did that. I just did it. We got up to the top of the hill, and we start seeing these big logs all lined up, like almost like Colorado Bigfoot stuff, where everything is connected all the way up the hill.
Yeah.
And that's odd. So we walk down a little bit, and we both just go, oh my God, are you serious? And there's these two big structures. Every single one of those pieces of wood was broken. There were no axe marks. There were no chainsaw marks. There were no handsaw marks.
Wow.
The spine log was probably 40 feet long and probably weighed close to 700 or 800 pounds.
Good night.
There's no way, unless you had the raiders lifting that thing into position, there's no way me and him could have moved it. Even some of the longer logs up at the front, big part, I think it was big and then came down small.
Oh, yeah.
Even some of those were probably a couple 100 pounds, and there's no way even me and him could have lifted them.
Yeah, that's the typical, the A-frame.
Exactly. There was two of those.
Wow.
And in the background, there's a cabin. What looks to be a cabin. It goes down, and all we see is like one floor in the roof. And we assumed it was a ranger cabin, Well, we did end up going down there. I didn't video any of it because just in case someone came out wondering, what are you doing videotaping everything, with everything going on? I didn't want him to think it was some terrorist activity or something, and we're there to document it so they can blow the place up. I didn't want that, so I just didn't video it.
Yeah.
There was no water turned on. We found a couple spigots. There's no water. We found an outside plug. No power. Generally, when there's government-owned facilities that are being used even once a year, they don't even bother turning that stuff off. There was a billboard, and on that billboard was a map of trails. There was a topographical map with elevations. In the right-hand top corner was a sign that says, beware rattlesnakes that are prevalent in this area. Obviously. Underneath that was a stack of papers clipped. Schedule of events. And I pulled it off and I started thumbing through it, and I'm going, the last schedule of event was June 22nd, 2018.
Wow.
There was a tractor there with 2 flat tires. So much dust and so much dirt, and enclosed cabin tractor.
Mhm.
Even if you put your hands on the window like this, you still couldn't see in it. It was that thick.
Good.
Hadn't been used in a very long time.
Yeah.
No one came out.
Hmm.
And
That's weird. Like they just got up and left for
well,
too much activity.
you know, we went and investigated the meadow and found all kinds of impressions and stuff like that, and some of them are actually pretty good. 2 individuals, I think. And later on that night, we went back at 11:30 at night to the structures.
Oh man.
And let me tell you,
Was it feel weird?
we were fine. We're walking through the woods. We're chit-chatting and stuff. The bugs are flying all over the place. We're trying not to eat them. You know, I'm telling them, just keep your mouth closed. You know, you won't eat it. There were thousands of them, dude. No problem. We get down the hill to the logs, and as soon as we go up a little bit, our ears start going.
Oh man, what the heck?
Like you're sitting in the bottom of a pool, perfectly still, just listening.
Yeah. It's so quiet.
And everything got super silent.
Mm-hmm.
This immediate feeling of we shouldn't be here came over me.
Oh boy.
Immediately. And I think you could probably see that in my video. The longer we stayed, the worse it got. And if we were standing looking at the small point of that structure and it gets bigger as it goes out away from me,
yeah,
there's a hill back up behind me.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept turning around and looking at that hill. There was something up there.
Yeah,
there was something up there watching. And they're right up there, dude. They're watching us.
Yeah.
And I had the FLIR, I had the night vision, and I couldn't see nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then at one point when we decide to leave,
Mm-hmm.
we're walking out and I look up there and you see 2 trees. They're probably 6 feet apart. On the right side of one tree is one eye shine. On the left side of the other tree is another eye shine. And I just sat there and stared at it like, didn't say nothing. I didn't do nothing. I didn't know what to do. Just like, okay, just keep walking. So I just kept walking.
Yeah.
And as we're walking, Dave, Sasquatch Omega, shh, stop. And he's like, I keep hearing footprints because he was behind me. I keep hearing footsteps. He's like, let's go 8 steps and just stop. So we go to 8 steps. We stop and hear. He's all pointing. And I'm all, yeah, I heard it. And he's like, let's go 16 steps and stop. So we went 16 steps, stop.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I heard it. And I'm like, yeah, let's just go. Let's just go back to camp. And we did. We just got up the hill. We got up to level. We got back to camp. My wife was up by the fire. Everyone else had gone to sleep, so she's out there by herself. And we come walking up, and she was like, well, how was it? And I said, you don't want to know. And we're sitting there talking at the fire. Our neighbors are not our neighbors, but our other people we went with. Their camp is, in a straight line. And in a straight line from where we were, the fire pit, the tent, and everything directly behind it, you hear,
oh man,
branches break. And both me and Dave and my wife are like, did you hear that? Yeah, the branches breaking.
Yeah.
And then a couple minutes later, you hear that pine cone come freaking lobbing through the trees. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And woke up the next morning and there was a rock on the stump.
Yep. Little gift for you.
When we were down there at the structures during the day, this is in my video. I just got this overwhelming feeling. We're at the structures, you go down across the meadow and you got that first hillside.
Yeah.
And I'm all, they're up there.
Yeah.
They're up there, and they're not up there. They're on that first hillside. They're watching us.
Right.
Just that overwhelming feeling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
and it's kind of weird that you can direct that where it's at too.
I've been doing some exercises and working on that, and I think definitely Mercy's been helping me with that also.
Yeah.
But definitely, you want to do this research, you got to go with your feelings.
Yeah, that's what I tell everybody.
You can't go with your logic. You can't go with your brain. You got to go with your feelings. You got to see with your heart.
Yeah, it'll tell you all automatically. Like from day one, when I saw that one spot and it told me don't ever go there, and I never did. But sure enough, that's where they stay. I don't go up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you got to go with your feelings.
I got FLIR photos. I've got a FLIR video, and you're going to help me get that from the FLIR onto the laptop so I can share that. And
if you plug it in, make sure it's on. Maybe that's maybe you're plugging it in when it's off. Turn it on, and then it'll download.
Okay. I will try that.
Maybe that's probably what it does. It's been a while since I've done it. So
Right. Yeah. So
just Google it if you have to. I'm not Google it, but go on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. That's the other option I was going to do. So
you can operate on somebody on YouTube. I mean,
needless to say, my wife is hooked on camping, so I think we're going to be doing a lot of camping this year because we can't go to Idaho.
Bonus for you.
Either way, I mean,
you get to take your partner.
I can go
and go Bigfooting.
I can go to northern Idaho and play with ones that know me, or I can go make friends in another spot with ones that don't know me. Mm-hmm. So, and then I just go to my local place and play with them. You know what I mean? So, I'm really curious to see what happens with that bucket, with that tub.
Yeah.
And the apples and banana and the bag of Chex Mix.
Man.
So,
hope you brought some milk.
I almost thought I had a small bottle of water, and I thought about leaving that, but I didn't. You know what I mean? So they got a huge reservoir over there, so they got plenty of water. So yeah. Well, I have to say, Thom Cantrall is
the man.
Yeah, very inspirational.
Yeah. He knows a lot of stuff. He's been around for a long time out there since he was 15.
I know. I know. You know, I mean,
man, it's crazy, dude.
Yeah. Oh, and you're getting back out there too.
I am. Yeah.
You're getting back out there.
Yeah.
And you've already had your freaking crazy thing happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a little wild. And I was like, oh my God.
Did you look at where it was broken to see if it looked like a clean cut?
No, you could see the frays like pulled away from.
It was pulled apart. It was pulled.
See.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That was stretched because you could see how it goes down.
Yeah.
It went to a point and then snapped from there. So it pulled it tight.
Yeah. And it was what it was, just inside the camera loops, where the camera thing,
right?
And then I tied the end where the latch was, where this latch was. I just tied a knot right at the end of it, and that way, and then he just broke both sides
like a rubber band.
And he just went both sides. I'm like, oh my gosh! But at the same time, it looked like it didn't break.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's pretty tough stuff right here. You can't break
it. It is. That strap right there would probably hold somewhere upwards of 800 to 1,000 pounds.
Yeah, it's just holding it on there.
And that's what 3/4 of an inch wide.
Yeah, that's
an inch wide. That's about the rating of that military strap stuff. So, yep, there you go, buddy. Don't put cameras out.
That's the baby one too. I think that's been missing.
That's why I don't use them no more.
Yep.
They know
the IR light for sure.
I don't even think it's the IR light. I think all electronics emit a sound.
Yeah, they all have.
We just don't hear it.
Yeah.
They obviously have specialized sight. They obviously have specialized hearing.
Yeah.
They can hear it.
Right.
You know, I think the voice recorders are such a low frequency or whatever that they emit.
Yeah.
They don't even worry about it. But the cameras are such a high frequency that they emit. You know, like the old cameras where you got to push the button to charge the flash.
Right.
And you hear that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that's what they're hearing, but we don't hear it.
Yeah.
You know, it's beyond our hearing comprehension. So
that's true. And the smells, they know that they can smell everything. Because I constantly hear them sniffing. Always.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I always hear that.
Yep. You can clean a rifle and put brand new ammo in it. They'll smell the gunpowder inside those bullets that the gun hadn't even been fired.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So,
well, just who was it? Your buddy. He said he put his hand on a tree, and they smelled him. After he got up on top of the mountain, they walked by that tree and they went smelled the tree real quick.
Yep.
They smell his handprint.
Yep. Even when you're walking through the woods.
Yeah.
When you walk 4 generations of hunters figured this out. So you're looking at over 100 years of hunting experience within this one family.
Mm-hmm.
They figured this out even with boots on.
Mm-hmm.
And the scent stuff, the scent blocker stuff that supposedly works and doesn't work.
Right.
When you step, you're leaving microscopic tiny little DNA particles wherever you step. Mm-hmm. Even when you have pants on and shoes on and everything. Yep. So not only can they tell where you're going, within that DNA, they can tell what your intentions are.
Right. Yeah.
It's a lot along the lines of a dog being able to sense fear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you're scared, you know, all animals, I'm finding out, can sense that. Right. They can smell that. They know what that is. So,
yeah, that's how I Jack Russell.
Yep.
On that one video where it says the Bigfoot trackway, when they were sniffing the ground, they were sniffing that Bigfoot's footprints from where the trackway was. That came up on the service road, walked down the service road, and went up on the hillside. From right there, they started putting their nose down on the ground, and when she jumped over, and I walked up there, and I seen that trackway. She smelled that on the pavement.
Oh yeah.
I was like, "What do you guys smell?"
Yeah. You know? And there's I heard a thing about dogs is in a 10-foot by 10-foot area.
Mm-hmm.
So what's that? 100 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
They can smell over 100,000 different smells.
Mm. Okay. And just if a dog can smell that well,
exactly. Wow. They can literally smell your intentions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you're out in the woods,
you
best be on your best behavior because they will know. They will know.
Yeah.
And even I've noticed that I've gone out there and knocked the clearest of heads, and it's just been, they didn't want nothing to do with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
And I was at home and I had a weird feeling that I need to go check my camera before I went up there. But it was like a butterfly feeling, and I felt like something positively happened before I went there. It was like a day before or 2 days before. And I was like, why do I feel so anxious to get up there? And I got up there and Nat was there. And I'm like, man, so weird.
Like when you were at my area, I didn't tell you where the areas were. You walked up and we were walking in. You just stopped. You just like, there's something about this area.
Yeah, I felt that.
You pointed right to it.
Really
that
weird.
Whole hillside. That whole hillside right there.
I didn't know where it started, where it ended. Yeah, I have no idea. So I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Trippy.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
You know, we're like Thom said, we all have these abilities.
Mm-hmm.
Over time, they've been worked out because, our parents are, monsters don't exist. Bigfoot don't exist. It's just fairy tales and this and that and the other. And we just change of thought changes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just need to reawaken
Yeah.
that, and obviously you're on the right path.
Yeah.
I'm working on it. You know what I mean? And
I don't know if I'm on the right path, man.
well,
It's a scary path, but it's
you're on a path. You're on a path. You know, I mean, but
the other one would come up.
I mean that would be my ult. Like Thom had that one hold his hand.
Yeah, that's
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would love for that to happen to me.
I would just want a glove on when it happens because I know their hands are oily. So I don't know, man.
It's DNA, man.
Glove.
It's DNA.
Like it's like, oh, Lewis, how are you doing? All the oils.
You know, hey, whatever.
Yeah.
Dude, you got to let some things go
Yes.
in order for the ultimate experience. You know what I mean? So, you know, but you know, actually, last time I went out to my spot, and I got my first vocal
Yeah.
on video,
Yeah.
and I'm sitting there looking at her. I'm waving at her. Hi, sweetheart. I see you. You know, my camera wouldn't pick it up. She was too far away and too much into the brush, but I could see her.
Right. Yeah.
And so I turned the camera away, and she goes from that spot over, and you hear crunch, crunch, crunch.
Oh,
stepping on branches. She had moved to a different position.
Yeah, and she probably did that on purpose. She didn't have to
probably did that on purpose. So, you know, and the vocal I heard was a woo.
Oh yeah, they do that.
And I've heard that before.
Yep,
I've heard that before, and it was.
Yep.
I didn't hear it at the time I was out there. I didn't hear it till I was reviewing the video, and I went over like 5 times, going,
I didn't hear that.
Yes.
That's
yeah, got some, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to tell her thank you when I go back up and see the state of the bucket.
Yeah.
And get the voice recorder. So this time I made sure not to push any buttons.
And you maybe need to get a voice recorder that's not so tight, probably around the side edges. Probably, I don't know. It keeps hitting that button somehow. Maybe you can put like something around the buttons. I don't know. I'm not sure. It just seems like it turns off and on.
Well, I think the first time when I put it in that tree, the first time I put it out there, I did push on the top of it. That was my fault. I remember doing it.
Oh, okay.
The second time I did get 26 hours of audio before the battery died.
What, anything?
Yes. Yes. Almost immediately after I left the area, you hear thump, thump,
thump,
yep, crunch. And it sounds, like when you bite into a crispy apple, crunch.
Yeah.
And
dang, dude.
About an hour later, you hear.
Oh man!
Like they pushed over a tree. And at this point, it's nighttime. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Golly. And I think last time when I pulled it out, when you pull it, the button goes down to off.
Right.
And when I pulled it out, it would have grabbed that button and pushed it down.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Again, probably my fault. You know what I mean? But I did get 26 hours of audio. I think I'm like 13 hours into it right now.
Yeah.
So
that's good. At least you have something. It feels good to like come back and go, okay, now I got you, you sucker.
It's just curiosity and stuff, because I don't go out to places at night. When I was up camping, that was a rare thing I get to do.
Right.
If Dave hadn't been there, I would have never gone out.
Right.
Daytime is my time and nighttime is their time, and I get that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to have the experience of going out there to those structures at night with somebody, I can't pass that up.
Dave really fun.
Dave lived with Nathan Rio.
Yeah.
And he's lived with several of these big name people, and that's what he's used to doing. Nighttime is natural for him.
Yeah.
Not for me. So, but I was fine. up
Yeah.
until we got to that part where we got to the structures, and it's just like, yeah, we don't belong here. No,
Yeah.
no, we don't belong here.
Yeah.
Just that feeling, you know what I mean? So
It just takes a little time. I mean, when I first did it, it felt all right, but you feel kind of leery about what's going to approach. So I made traps, like warning traps ahead. So I put string out, some cans with rocks, and that just did them in certain areas, with fishing line and stuff. So, but they probably seen that. They probably watched me do it, but it made me feel better.
right.
Nothing happened until I was going to leave. And then I crossed the bridge. I looked down, and that thing turned around and hit the tree and knocked the tree. And I heard and now I ran across the street. And
Did you get the email I forwarded you from Max?
Was it the one with the cuss word on it?
Yeah, the 5 pictures.
I haven't looked at it, but I saw it. Yeah, right when I was getting up here.
Yeah. That was when we were down in the meadow and we heard something splash, 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 splash.
Look at that.
So
and there's pictures too, right?
They're screenshot pictures from my video.
Right.
And you can clearly see that brown figure moves. It is frame by frame, 5 frames of my video, and you can see movement.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna check it out. Yeah,
so check it out. It's pretty interesting.
You're gonna post? Did you post on in
YouTube? It's on
There's
on my channel, and
Yeah.
you know the way I do things. It goes from life to my phone. I add a title, and it goes right to YouTube. There's no editing. There's no filtering.
Right.
It is how I saw it. So
that's how I did my last video. But there's another part of it, and that was me walking down the thing. But I talk so much, and I feel kind of goofy when I start talking because my mind is so many places at one time. I start skipping a lot, so I'm not putting that on there because it shows my ADHD a lot.
Max is on here. Yeah, I cuss a lot. Max, I got a question for you. You were on Hidden Existence, and I don't know if you saw me saying hi to you on Hidden Existence, but how much money did you have to put in the cuss jar?
Yeah, and how much is the cuss jar?
Because LA Swamp Ape had to put $120 in.
Gosh, dude, I wouldn't.
It was a sailor. He just couldn't control it. So
yeah, I don't do that mess.
So I'm curious to know how much Max had to shell out for the swear jar. I think for the most part, Max really did a good job about not having to add to that. So,
yeah. He didn't do it on.
He can cuss as much as he wants on here. You know what I mean? But Hidden Existence, she's pretty strict about the language. So
yeah, I don't do it, but I don't hold anybody back from doing that.
I've been trying to reword it like friggin' and dang, and, so $182. Are you serious, dude? You know what? Some of that I don't think is validated.
I think a quarter for every curse word.
I think no, it's like $10.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it's steep. No, but I think some of that wasn't warranted. He tried to, swap the word out with another one, and then they decided, nope, that's a cuss word too.
Yeah.
Which I don't think was very fair, but
yeah. Because you're switching it around a little bit.
So,
well.
Oh well, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, John Rodriguez, when he's playing video games, because that's my uncle, and he is a sailor. Oh my gosh, dude! I'm like, dude, stop! MNF.
Every other word, huh?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull the plug here. Oh my gosh!
Oh, that's good. That's good. It was only Max only got $10 fine.
Oh, that's good. That's not bad.
Yeah, I think her cuss jar, her swear jar is up to $182, and Max only chipped in 10.
Oh, okay.
One word. Okay,
cool. You're doing good, Max. You're doing good.
Good
job. He didn't do anything like that on here when we did last week. I don't think.
He may have, but it just flies right over our head.
Yeah, maybe he just sounds so natural doing it.
Exactly.
I just went-
Exactly. So, cool.
All
Well,
right. I got to call my boss here, so I got to get off of here. I got to see if I'm working tomorrow.
I got to do the same. So, everybody, thank you for joining us.
Yeah,
and
appreciate it.
Thank you to Thom Cantrall. Absolutely amazing person, amazing experiences, and I mean, you can't deny 60 years of freaking experience.
No.
I mean, if he were young enough to go out now with what he knows, can you imagine the stuff he would find?
Dude.
His experiences he would be able to document.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You can go back on the internet, like YouTube, like we're doing. Man,
yeah.
Dude.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Incredible. So.
Yeah. I can't believe we're up to 170 subscribers. I'm totally stoked. I can't believe it.
We're getting there. We're getting there, man. We're getting there,
80 and we'd stay afloat.
No, we seem to grow a little bit with every show.
Yeah.
So,
that's good.
I think our next guest is the wonderful Max Powers Part 2.
Hey, I'm gonna put that up then.
So,
and don't forget, guys, to hit the thumbs up.
Don't forget that, Max.
Yeah, Max.
So, it's kind of funny and stuff. Max sent me that email, and
I
didn't even bother you. I just called him.
Yeah.
He had his phone ready, going. I knew you were gonna call. It's just so.
I don't know if Lily's still on here. I saw her in here.
She was on here.
Yeah.
So I don't know if she still is, but
yeah, Bill's on here. I don't see her. What happened to Lady? Is she's not doing her thing anymore, or what's going on with her?
Not as much. She's out in Oklahoma. She's got that trailer. Her Wi-Fi. They're working off of Wi-Fi right now. And satellite.
Okay.
So it's really kind of iffy.
Yeah.
She still does it when she can. When she, but she's so busy trying to get everything together and everything and stuff like that. But she hangs out. I've seen her in some live chats. She's around.
Okay.
And then she changed her email address. Obviously, she couldn't keep it, the old email, because that was on Cox, and now she's on Spectrum or something like that. I don't know. So.
Okay. What do you say? Oh. He's crazy.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, everybody, thank you for joining us. It has been a pleasure. And stay tuned for next week. We're going to have the wonderful Max Powers on for Part 2. And, there you have it.
There you have it.
And if anybody else on here, Barb, anybody else wants to be on here, just email me. We'll set up a time. And
or if you know anybody who wants to be on here,
or if you know anybody you think would be a great conversation, send them my email.
Yeah.
socalforestninjas@hotmail.com.
Yep. It's been up on the banner for a while.
We'll get you scheduled, and there you go. It's at the bottom of the screen. And with that,
see you later.
Happy hunting.
Happy hunting. Oh, that's your thing. See you guys later. Happy squatching, I guess.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.